my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Land Stories Live. I'm your host, Dave Deniston of Generation Family Properties LLC, where our goal is to help hundreds of people just like you own land. And most of all, we would love to tell your land story. Well, today I am flying solo. And you know what that means? We got some bad dad jokes. And not only that, but we are continuing our series about the largest landholders in America. As a matter of fact, today we are going to cover the sixth largest landholder in America. So stay tuned for that. And I have I'm in the office today and I have the green screen. So behind me, I have our featured property today, a brand new property, Klamath County, Oregon. Here's a hint. There's electricity on this property. Now, before we get to all of that, of course, bad dad jokes, right? Gotta love those. So here's the first one. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? How does a dog stop a video? How does a dog stop a video? By hitting the pause button. By hitting the pause button. All right, we got to do another one. Got to do a twofer. Bad dad joke number 2. A man walks into a library and he asks the librarian for books about paranoia. She whispers, "They're right behind you." I love it. I am so easily amused. I hope you are too. Add a little joy in life. But anyhow, let's move on. We are going to talk about the number 6th largest landholder in the country. This gentleman has 1 million+ acres. He has an estimated net worth of $2.2 billion, and he had founded a tobacco company. Who is this guy? Brad Kelly, a gentleman I had never heard of before getting this list together that we are going over. And that's been some of the fun for me. I haven't known a lot of these people. I hope maybe you haven't too. And we will go through it. So I read a few articles. I'm going to link in the show notes once we publish this on iTunes, and talk through Wikipedia a little bit, because I thought this was a really good article on New York Times. And here's what the author said. Well, I was making my way down the latest list through the names of billionaires worth 2 or 3 times what they were just a few years ago, and I felt a sudden nostalgia for the old Forbes 400 and the promise it held out. Then an unfamiliar name caught my eye. Brad M. Kelly. Who is Brad M. Kelly, America's 258th richest person? According to Forbes, Mr. Kelly is 48 years old and worth $1.3 billion. I Googled him. Nothing, or at least nothing substantial. I ran a LexisNexis search, only to find until now, Mr. Kelly has, for the most part, been overlooked by the news media. I called him at home. His number was listed. Mr. Kelly was not at all glad to hear from me. At one point, frustrated by my questions, he blurted that he felt like he was on some sort of reality show. Quote, "I'm trying to, my purpose in talking to you is not so much being courteous, which I try to be, it's damage control. And it's really uncomfortable for me, and I really wish you'd avoid it as much personal matter as possible. The truth is," the author continues to write, "if you buy up 1.25 million acres of ranching land across southwestern Texas, Florida, and parts of New Mexico, as Mr. Kelly has done recently, you cannot escape attention forever. And then if you proceed to dedicate parcels of that land to wildlife conservation, as Mr. Kelly has also done, you're practically crying out to be noticed. Eventually, someone like Mr. Kelly, who spent millions of dollars conserving black rhinos, white rhinos, pygmy hippos, okapi, whatever those are, anoas, impalas, white-bearded wildebeest, Nile-Lechwe, I have no idea what that is, eastern bongos, and Bisa aurex, is going to be the subject of an article in the New York Times. Mr. Kelly is not what we've come to expect of the Forbes 400 billionaires. For one thing, he's never been on a yacht. He drives a white Ford pickup and is the only member of the Forbes 400 from Kentucky, though he recently moved to Tennessee to be near his children's school. Mr. Kelly and his wife have been married for nearly 20 years. He did not go to college. I guess I don't find it unusual or remarkable, as apparently a lot of other people do, he told me. I mean, I've had a lot of MBAs who've worked for me over time, off and on, and that, excuse my French, were useless as teats on a boar hog. Born and raised in Franklin, Kentucky, a small town, population 8,000, about 40 miles north of Nashville, Mr. Kelly seemed most likely to take over his family's farm. According to the Franklin Simpson High School yearbook in 1974, the year he graduated, Mr. Kelly was not an athlete, nor was he especially handsome. He was secretary for the Future Farmers of America, winner of the Courier-Journal Louisville Times Future Farmers of America contest, and a member of Who's Who among American high school students. As well, he was named Corn Derby winner. So here's his business story. In 1991, when few wanted to be anywhere near the tobacco business, Mr. Kelly started a cigarette company from scratch called Commonwealth Brands and established with a handful of employees in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It set out to undercut the big tobacco companies by producing discount branded generic cigarettes. In 2001, just 10 years after starting the business, Mr. Kelly sold Commonwealth to Hutchins Industries for $1 billion. By then, Commonwealth Brands was the 5th largest cigarette maker in the country, with sales approaching 800 million. Its top brand, USA Gold, was and still is the nation's 8th best-selling cigarette. As for the secret to his success, Mr. Kelly replied, "I like to think it was discipline and patience and avoiding pitfalls and working for the long term." A lot of corny things that you'll make me coming off looking like an idiot in your article. He answered before quickly adding, "I'm sure as heck not Horatio Alger. There are a lot of people out there who are real smart and work real hard, and it doesn't sometimes happen for them. I just happen to be the one that did. Sometimes you get dealt a good hand." When we were done, I said to Mr. Kelly, "You know, you may need an enlisted phone number after this." There was a pause. Then he said, "You think so?" So that, I think, really gave us an insight into the personality. Just a regular guy, never been on a yacht, drives a white Ford pickup, been with his wife of 20 years, and worked his butt off for sure, made his money with a cigarette company. I'm going to show a link, throw a link into the show notes here, and pretty cool stuff. What he has been doing. It doesn't sound like he's as much into ranching as some of the other people we have, but he's more into animal conservation. So kind of a cool, different twist over everything else we have been talking about. So again, the gentleman's name, if you ever want to look him up, is Brad Kelley, Kelley. All right, my friends. So I want to talk a little bit today about our featured property, the one here in back of us. So let me share my screen here with you, those of us that might be joining me on Facebook. So here is the property, and what I love about it and what makes this property really, really unique, that whoever gets this should end up having a heck of a gem. This property is less than 400 feet from the Sprague River, with power running right in front of it. It's beautiful, gorgeous views close to the river. You can even see it right here from the property. It is easily visible, easy to walk to. I mean, just imagine how easy this is to walk to. And some pictures of this property. So here, which is unique about this property as well compared to so many others that we have on the website, is it's on a paved road. There's no dirt road to get to this property. There's those power lines. The property's here on the right-hand side, which is north. So down here is south, which to the left, as we're looking on the picture right now, is the river. So you can see well-maintained road, and got the electrical poles right there. There's that view of the river again. right from the property. Beautiful blue skies out there. You can see not too far away from the property, there's a storm drain going right to the river. Here is the property. So you can see that there's a nice, easy area for you to build on here if you wanted to. It does have a little bit of a slope to it. It does have trees on it, but there's a chunk of it that doesn't. So actually, huge benefit of this property, you don't have to clear a bunch of trees, but you still have trees on the property. Again, a little bit of a slope. You might need to do a little bit of earthwork, but you have paved roads. You got electricity right there. And best of all, you are literally walking distance to the river. You can see here a little higher up on the property. Now let's look at a map here real quick of this property. So here's the middle of the property. So if you drew a line about here, you can see the back end has trees. The front end here has more of those bushes and stuff we're looking at. There's the river. There's that paved highway that has the electrical lines going across it. So if we drew a little distance here, 400 feet from the property, which if you even measure it from here, you're going to be even less. 261 feet to the river right there, which you can see there's the Sprague River. Great place for fishing if you love to fish. So if you're a fisherman, this is the spot for you. You don't have to worry about flooding because you are a little higher up here. And certainly you have a few people around, although no immediate neighbors around the property. You can see with the river being right here, highly desirable area. I bet you this property does well over time. You can see here is kind of where the floodplain is, which no one has built on. Go out a little further. There's some farming going on over here in this area. You'll see some cows going through. You got National Forest down here to the south and to the north. You may have noticed before we have had, and we have right now, 1 or 2 properties here in Klamath Forest Estates, which isn't too far away from where this property is. There's National Forest just north, the Fremont Winema National Forest. So if you love to fish, love to hunt, great place. You know, Swan Lake Point is here. Bird watching, bird hunting is a big thing out here. Here's more mountains, more of the Fremont National Forest, Gearhart Mountain. There's Upper Klamath Lake, we've talked about before. We have a property in right near Chiloquin here, Agency Lake area. Mount Scott and Crater Lake, not too far away, which we had sold a property not too long ago, really close to Crater Lake, but this isn't too far away either. There's Klamath Falls, next kind of major city, about an hour away from the property. So if you want to go to Costco, you want to go to Target, that's not too far away. A little further to the east, you have an antelope refuge past the Fremont National Forest. This isn't too far from California. So if anyone here lives in Redding or Modoc area near Mount Shasta, good, easy driving distance. If you're in Oregon, Medford, Roseburg, Eugene, all of those are within driving distance. We have a property in Lapine, Oregon. That's not too far from here. And Bend, not too far from here, a couple hours drive away. And of course, you're not that far from adventures down the Oregon-California coast. This is a gorgeous drive down Pacific Coast Highway here. If you ever have a chance to do it through Eureka and this area, come and see the redwoods and those huge trees on this western drive. All of that not too far from the property. Let's take a look at a few more details here about it. This particular property is in a subdivision called Nimrod River Park, which is not an HOA. So this is no homeowners association here. You just deal with the county rules, which requires 300 square feet minimum. It can include manufactured homes and mobile homes. But not only can you build on it, you can camp on it. They allow 21 days every 6 months, and that's not consecutive. So you could go for a weekend, let's say 3 or 4 days, come back 2 weeks later for another 3 or 4 days, or stay for 3 weeks during the summer and come and hang out. You want to get away from Corona, come away and hang out here. You can do it for camping, RV, 21 days every 6 months. There is power, as we mentioned, through Pacific Power. Here's the outline of the property. So there's those trees in the back I was telling you about. You can see the outline of the property there going to the road. And in terms of this property, we're making it really easy for you. I mean, this is a fantastic deal being so close to the river. If you want to do cash, $7,900. That's it. Less than $8,000 for the discounted cash price. Or if you want to do owner financing, $9,000, which is a minimum of $249 down and $149 a month. Well, certainly you can do more than that. Those are just the minimums. So if you want a little getaway, that's all you got to do. $249 down and $149 a month, and you can secure the property here. And outside of that, we do have some really awesome blog posts, which I highly recommend. 2 of them are about Klamath County. So if you ever go to genfamproperties.com/blog, we have one here on the beginner's guide to fishing in Klamath County, where we highlight some of the best spots, which of course the Sprague River is on one of those spots. We have another blog post called the top 3 attractions in Klamath County and the crazy fun stuff you can do. So I highly recommend reading that if you're not familiar with what is happening here. And that, my friends, about wraps us up for today. So would love to hear from you. Would love to see your bad dad jokes, or just any bad or good joke. Send them my way. Would love to chat with you about. If you have questions about this particular property, you certainly can contact me. And make sure, my friends, tune in every Monday. Today I had some other appointments and stuff, so this ended up being a little bit later. But normally every Monday, 11:30 a.m. Central, we go live with at least a property feature, if not a full podcast, like we did today. And if you have any questions about land, please send them to me. Contact CONTACT at GENFAMproperties.com. Or of course, you can submit them through Facebook. Well, thank you again so much for tuning into Land Stories with me, your host, Dave Denniston. Make sure to check out all of our properties at www.genfamproperties.com. And if you are looking for land, it would be my honor to speak with you. If you'd like to speak with me directly, please feel free to give me a call at 775-234-2058. Again, 775-234-2058. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.